His rule gives life. It gives freedom. Good morning and welcome to Chinook Podcast. We are gathered here again today, here at the end of this beautiful Grand Prairie summer. Or, well, I guess it's not the end yet.
It's still supposed, in theory, it's supposed to go on for at least a couple more weeks.
Okay, yeah.
I appreciate your attachment to theory. Yeah.
Winter will begin on November 1. That's my experience in Grand Prairie.
I've experienced it beginning on September 6th.
Okay, oh shoot.
That's tomorrow, yeah. As we are recording this on the 5th. No, I've definitely seen snow early September. Oh, yes.
Okay, well, today...
Lord willing, we will not see it soon.
Yes, never count your snowstorms until after your chickens have hatched. Okay, so...
Yeah, so today we're talking about Exodus again.
Excellent.
So, but we should begin with book reviews.
Book reviews. Brad, do you have some kind of a book you wish to review?
I do have some kind of a book. Now, I have often reread good books.
Okay.
And I should like to think that in the rereading, I proved that they were good books. But this one that I just picked up again because I thought to myself, I have not reread this book in the last couple of years, and that is the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes, okay.
And so I'm rereading this. I'm just about done the Fellowship again, and I'm going to be moving on to the Two Towers. And what a fantastic piece of literature.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
You've got now Tolkien himself said that he hated allegory, and yet he wrote one of the most fantastic allegories. And I think it works as an allegory because he didn't want it to. But you have a suffusion of Christian tropes throughout, and true tropes. You have some of the most fantastic characters,
right?
And a variety of characters too. Like Tolkien clearly was a man well acquainted with a variety of men, because he wrote a variety of men into his characters.
Mm-hmm. He knew characters.
He did.
Personalities.
He did. He knew personalities and men. Now, I think in part because people think about Tolkien and they think about this Don. You know, he works in the university. He's in a dusty little office and scribbling on notepad and smoking pipe. And yes, he used to do that too. But the man, as a young man, he fought in the trenches in the First World War. This was a man who was not, cloistered in some ivory tower, even though he was in upper academia. But I think for me, the characters are what really shine in the story. And I'm just enjoying it.
Right.
You should read good literature. You should enjoy good literature.
Yes,
and you should
absolutely.
return to good literature. So there you go. The
Fellowship
of
of
the
the
Ring.
Awesome.
Well, remind me to return to Flannery O'Connor, because I've started reading through her short stories, and I absolutely love the... you know what? She's a very dark writer.
That's
and
true.
very dry and cynical. Mm-hmm. And I think I love Dostoevsky for the same reasons. I think people would generally consider me a very optimistic person, just
generally, yeah.
Yes.
by appearance, generally. Mm-hmm. But I really love the cynical literature.
I have described this man as incurably optimistic.
Yes, this is true. Have you ever read any Jack London?
Yes, in high school. I should read more again.
Okay, so
again is pretty dark.
I wrote a short story
I
for
should
Substack, and then I had Joffrey Swait comment on it that I write like Jack London, and I'd never read Jack London. So I go back and I listened to, while I was driving a couple weeks ago, I listened to his How to Build a Fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a hysterical story. I was in gut laughter, especially in the part where the guy's fingers are so frozen that he can't light the matches. I'm driving down the road dying laughing, and of course, the main character dies. It's hysterical. I love it.
And then then Brad goes to bed at camp and has a dream about dying on the edge of the lease out in the cold because nobody can hear his voice.
Well, the thing is, having experienced, like I've never experienced 75 below or whatever the guy was in, but I've experienced 50 below working outdoors. And so for me, like the descriptions rang true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just died laughing because this man couldn't.
And I think that's the one I read.
Yeah, he's lighting this fire, and
Yeah.
then all the snow falls on it, and it puts out the fire.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like, he's a dead man.
Yeah.
Like, he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's not dead yet. He's only half dead. And so you got to get to that point. But it is, I was laughing so hard. My poor wife, who's in the car with me, was like, why are you laughing?
While reading Jack London.
Yeah, well, listening to this, you're listening to a guy die, and I'm like, man, I recognize it. But anyway.
Well, and that's the thing with Flannery O'Connor is some of her descriptors are of people and personalities are just really funny.
Yeah.
And you have a good laugh, and I mean, she's an interesting lady.
Yes.
She can look at someone sideways.
Yes.
And then you see them better.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Her turns of phrase are fantastic. She's
So
really good at that.
So I guess maybe as a pastor, just analyzing people and stuff like that, I just really enjoy a well put description of someone's character or personality.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a book to recommend that is called Leaving God Behind. The Charter of Rights and Canada's Official Rejection of Christianity by Michael Wagner. I remember reading this book, and I'm going to reread it. I haven't done so yet. But Michael Wagner argues that the adoption of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in 1982 in Canada amounted to a wholesale change in Canada's constitutional and legal foundation. There is no such thing as neutrality, and with the Charter of Rights, Christianity was cast aside and secular humanism became the ultimate basis of Canada's constitution. Law and public policy have been radically amended in the intervening years to conform to this new and alien religious system. So Michael Wagner argues that the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is a monstrous Trojan horse, as it were, with regards to what it's defending, and how you can defend.
I think the Trojan horse here is it's the Trojan horse of tyranny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, let me commend this book to you.
He's
again,
a good writer.
Michael Wagner.
He's a good
Leaving
writer.
God Behind.
Yeah, every time I've read Michael Wagner, he's a pretty easy read, even though he's dealing with drier concepts.
Yeah, and sometimes complicated ideas. He lays it out in a
does.
very readable,
Easy
to understand manner. I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing he's really got going for him is that he's got one wife and 11 kids.
Yep.
Oh, that is a thing going for him.
So,
Good job, Michael.
Leaving God Behind, Michael Wagner.
All right,
We are in Exodus.
And we are not going to leave God behind.
We shall not.
No.
And Lord, please do not leave us behind.
Now we're going to talk about a group of people
And
who
the
left
fear of
Egypt
the Lord.
behind.
Who left Egypt behind.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in verse 18.
We are in verse 18 of Exodus 20. We've been, the last few times we've been in Exodus, we've been walking through the 10 words. I think we we took 4 of them, then we took 3 of them, then we took 3 of them.
Yes.
This is the part of the scripture that follows right after the giving of those words. So let's start here in verse 18. Now when all the people saw the thunder and flashes of lightning and the sound of the trumpet and the mountains smoking, the people were afraid and trembled, and they stood afar off and said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, lest we die." Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, that the fear of him may be before you, that you may not sin." the people stood far off, while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was.
I love verse 20. Don't be afraid, but fear him.
Mm.
Don't fear, but fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, we'll get more into that in a minute.
No, they're okay, so we've got the entire people of Israel assembled before Mount Sinai. The Lord has given the law. Now these people are watching like the most incredible light and smoke show.
Oh, yeah.
Something that no Pentecostal can ever replicate. and they're terrified. I think that's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in God's presence and you are an unholy man or an unholy people, I think that,
Terror is probably the right response.
terror is the right response.
Yes.
But the thing is, God is here making them into his people.
Yes.
And what he's offering them is his presence with them.
Yes. He is here, if Ezekiel is right, he is here betrothing them,
To himself.
marrying them, as it were.
Yes.
But now the bride is like, whoa.
Yes.
Woo. I don't know if I can handle that,
Uh-huh.
which is true. I mean, you can't.
So because the people can't, Moses does it on behalf of the people.
Yeah, but this is interesting. I find this interesting in light of the fact that also when Moses comes down from the mountain, he finds the people engaged in idolatry.
Right.
So there's a bunch of toings and froings here. I think he's coming up and down the mountain several times.
Yeah, well, he certainly did before the giving of the law. He had to go up and down 3 or 4 times in chapter 19.
Yeah, and I think that's still continuing here because where's the golden calf incident?
32.
Chapter 32. So
I think he's been up there quite a while.
yeah,
And then he comes down and Joshua says, "What's that sound?"
right. And that's in chapter 32.
Yeah.
So from chapter 20 to
Yeah.
chapter 32, it's one series of events that take place over 40 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and Moses is up on the mountain. I don't know if he's up on the mountain the whole time.
I think
it
he's
seems to
coming
me that
down.
He comes down again
yeah,
and goes up again later.
I do think
Where is that?
I do think that there's some toing and froing here, because it says that Moses delayed in Exodus 32. It says when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain,
Right.
then the people gathered. So it may not be that the whole time he was up there. He might have come down a couple times.
Right.
And I think that in chapter 20, verse 18, this is one of those comings.
Yeah. In 24, he's back down. Because that's where he meets with the elders of Israel, and they all see
Yes.
the God of Israel.
Yes. So there's some of this back and forth business.
Yeah.
Almost like the angels at Jacob's pillow.
Yes.
Yes.
At the end of 24,
Yes.
at the end of chapter 24, Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain, and Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights.
Right.
So that's the beginning
the
of that
beginning.
40-day period. So
Up to that point,
up to that point, there's comings and goings
Right.
up and down the mountain.
toings and froings, as it were. I like that turn of phrase. But anyway. So Moses is going and talking to God. He's getting the law. He's coming down. The people are like, we're terrified. Which, again, if you're an unholy people,
That's a normal response.
that's a normal response. Now, in Hebrews, I believe it is. We have this.
Hebrews 12 or 13. Is that what you're after? You have not come to...
What maybe touched a blazing fire in darkness and gloom and tempest and the sound of a trumpet.
Yeah, I think that's the end of 12 or beginning of 13, somewhere in there.
12 verse 18 and forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. For you have not come to what may be touched, a blazing fire and darkness and gloom and a tempest and the sound of a trumpet, and a voice whose words made the hearers beg that no further messages be spoken to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now that turn of phrase, and then it followed, for they could not endure the order that was given. So I find it interesting that the writer of Hebrews, one of the things he points out about them asking Moses to intercede,
Yeah.
is that this comes from a position where they cannot endure.
Yeah.
They cannot put up with this.
Yeah.
They're begging that no further messages be spoken to them. So when they say to Moses, you speak to us and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us lest we die. This is in part, there's a typological thing going on here because Christ becomes the perfect intermediary between the Father and us. But these people are asking, no more God. Right. We just want Moses. Whereas you get to the apostles with Jesus and they're like, well, show us the Father. And Jesus says, well, I have. If you see me, you've seen the Father. You've got the opposite response to this glory in the Christian from the Hebrew slave just delivered from Egypt.
Right.
These people are really asking to keep God away from me.
Yes.
They're not asking to see the Father like the disciples do.
Yeah.
And they're not talking about like Paul, where he says you can now approach this throne of grace with confidence. They're like, whoa.
There's a lot less maturity here.
There's a lot less maturity. I don't want that.
Now, one of the things that comes out shortly after this, in the next verses, in fact, when the Lord speaks to Moses in verse 22 of Exodus 20, he says, thus shall you say to the people of Israel, you have seen for yourselves that I have talked with you from heaven. Okay, they didn't actually see God, but they did see all this stuff that was going on with the thunder and the smoke, and the fire on the mountain. You shall not make gods of silver to be with me. What do you suppose he means by that? Nor shall you make for yourselves gods of gold to be with me. You shall not make gods of silver to be with me. There's a thing that rises again later in this narrative where God speaks to Moses and reminds him that you didn't see a form when you were at the mountain, and Israel really wanted a form.
As can be demonstrated.
They really did.
Chapter 32.
As can be demonstrated in chapter 32. They wanted a God that they could see. Think about their situation. They had been in Egypt from the time they were born. Egypt had gods. If you were going to worship a god in Egypt, you go and bow down before the idol.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's how you worship God.
Yeah, and the
right?
thing
that's
too
how
is,
or even if it's a false god, you go and that's what you do. You go and you bow down. Well, here comes God Almighty who comes to deliver them, and he doesn't show them any sort of a form, and it's really disconcerting to them.
How does this work?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yes, and that was part of their confusion.
Yeah, and the thing too is that even in the pagan religions, they understood that when you bow to the idol, you're actually bowing to the God that idol represents.
Yeah.
So when they come to Exodus 32, right, and Moses is delayed coming down the mountain, the guy clearly didn't check his calendar. And
either that or he just had a long
Google
chat with
calendar
God.
wasn't working.
Yeah, his Google calendar
wasn't updating.
And
no reception.
And the deacons were really upset. And so they were like, well, we got to do something, right? And so then they built this calf. But the people, they say to Aaron, up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, this man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him, right? So they're like, okay, make us some gods. He makes a golden calf. And then these people, they all gather around. They're like, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And then when Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made a proclamation and said, tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord. So in a very real sense, this is a violation of the second commandment.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
He's saying this is actually the representation of the God.
Yes.
This is the image of the God
who
just delivered us.
Yes.
And who smoked and fired and lightninged and
and Aaron is presenting them with this calf as though that were really so. You know, he's still trying. I think Aaron is still trying to wrap his mind around that business too. Where we have to be able to see our God in order to worship. And
he's caved in.
Yeah, and he caves in here.
Yeah.
But God is intent to speak to his people via word and not via image.
Yeah.
It's been that way since the Garden of Eden. You know, God walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. Or he came to walk with Adam and Eve in the garden. Yep. Maybe they did. We don't know how long that happened.
Yep.
But ever after sin, God never shows his face.
Yeah, not until Christ. Yeah.
Not until Christ.
Yes.
And it's always
we see
word.
his face.
Seen the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then, but he is also, Jesus himself is described as the Word.
Yes.
So
The word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Yeah, so God has, in his own eternal wisdom, has decided that he will be revealing himself via word. And this again, this is one of the things where you look at some of our Orthodox or Catholic brothers and their images, and you're like, you've dropped the ball here, buddy.
Yes.
Picture decorations are all fine, but this liturgical use of image,
to worship God,
like this is how you approach God.
This has missed
through this.
Yeah, this has missed the ball. You've gone back to chapter 32 of Exodus, and you've done the same thing.
Yeah, and you've also gone back to 1 Kings, where Jeroboam remakes these calves in Bethel and Dan for Israel to worship God in an idolatrous way.
Yep.
And I think it's important here to distinguish between that idolatrous worship and paganism, because you see a descent into paganism from idolatrous worship between the reigns of Jeroboam and Ahab.
You do, but the pagan worships a different god.
Yes.
And the idolatrous worships God via illegitimate means.
Yeah, wrongly. Yeah.
So why do you suppose? Why do you suppose that sight is less preferable to God
than word? That's a good question.
Yeah.
He's routinely saying, "Hero Israel,"
yeah,
which refers to spoken word. He also creates via speech.
He created via speech. That's important to remember.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Now the temple was visual.
Yes, there are a whole bunch of things that wound up being visual, but they weren't representations of him.
Yes,
that's true.
They were more representations of his creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temple.
So you find you in the tabernacle and in the temple, you find these things with all these decorations all over them. You do find those kind of things, but they're not pictures of God.
No, they're
pictures of stuff he's made.
Yeah, they're representations of creation rightly ordered.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that is an interesting thought.
Yeah, but God,
new creation.
God doesn't seem to want to be referred to or to be found via your eyes. You know, you think about the way in which you receive information. You receive new information. I go into a room. The first thing that's working, that's telling me what's going on in this room, is my eyes. That's the first order of business.
Yep. The eyes are the lamp.
The second is probably my hearing. That's probably the next thing, the next most important thing in terms of how I'm perceiving things, right? I perceive with my eyes, but hearing is the one that God prefers. I wonder if that's not just another one of those, the second thing is preferred over the first.
That might be going on there. There's also the fact that I can see a thing, but until it's explained to me properly, I do not have a proper framework for it.
Okay.
Yes.
By which I mean, like, for example, that outlet on the wall. I can walk into the room and I can see the outlet, the electrical outlet on the wall, and I can perceive it.
Yeah.
But unless I have been told, word explained it,
Yeah.
I don't actually know what that is. I can see its physical properties. It's got a white cover. It's got those two, upside down smiley faces.
You can scientifically observe it, but you cannot.
I don't know what
understand it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is.
Word
until somebody explains to me electricity and plugging things in.
Okay.
So, I really think that word shapes perception.
Yes. And that's why I think like Augustine, I don't remember his exact quote, but he talks about word and sacrament. And I think he includes the word as an essential ingredient in having a proper celebration of the sacrament. Mm-hmm. Because we don't just sit there looking at bread and wine,
right?
But we actually hear the words of Christ. This is my body broken for you. This is my blood poured out for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really think that two men can look at the same thing and see the physical properties of that thing.
Yeah.
But until you've got a word input on there, like a diesel engine is a great example. This is a funny story. I had this guy at work. He's a new driver, but he's not a mechanical fellow at all. So I was showing him how to pre-trip the truck, how to check the thing to make sure you can drive it. So we popped the hood, and we're looking at the engine. And I asked him, how would I, where's the turbo? And he pointed at the Webasto. A turbo and a Webasto do not do the same thing. They're not shaped the same. They do not look the same. They're not on the same, area of the truck. I mean, they're just not. So he did not understand. We were both looking at a turbo and a Webasto, and he pointed at the wrong thing.
Right.
So we were both visually perceiving the thing. He did not possess the word implanted knowledge.
Right.
And which I had to do.
Right.
I don't know if it took, but he also
tried to implant that word of knowledge to him.
I did try to give him that word of knowledge. He also tried to find spark plugs on a diesel engine. But anyway, that's funny. Anyway.
That's funny to guys like you who know engines inside out.
It's like, what do they teach at schools these days? Where is the logic? Anyway, sometimes I feel like the uncle in The Magician's Nephew.
Oh, yeah.
What do they teach at schools these days? But yeah, so we both could visually perceive the same thing, and we turn it on, and it rumbles, and it makes its noise, and you can hear it, and you can smell it. But unless you've got that word knowledge, I don't think you actually have a true knowledge of that engine. I think the same thing is true in spiritual terms, knowing God.
So there's a sense, because your eyes are the front line of perception for you.
But are they?
Well, in a sense they are. Mm-hmm. Scientifically they are.
Right.
Okay.
But philosophically,
I'm thinking about this with regards to science. Mm-hmm. We observe, we look, we watch with our eyes, and we develop conclusions based on what we see, or we experiment over and over with what we see. But there's a sense in which if you approach life that way, and you start with what you see, right, and then you draw conclusions from what you see. Well, you won't get the whole thing because God teaches through what you hear, right? He teaches through word, and so I'm just thinking about this for the Israelites' sake. They want to see God, because that's the gods have always been seen all through Egypt. Everyone sees the gods. It's comfortable. That's the way we understand it to be. And God comes along and he says, okay, not sight, hearing.
Yep.
Hearing. You need to hear the word of the Lord.
Faith comes by hearing.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what the apostle writes. Well, and that's why I think that the scientism crowd has gotten it all wrong.
Yes, they have. And
observation,
that's why.
Like in terms of which is prior in human knowledge, I think observation is not prior.
Right.
I think it is, it follows. It follows from word.
Which is kind of funny because Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic would say that they're very strongly against scientism, but yet they play in a very observable, observable world.
Yeah, and then they accuse us of Gnosticism, which is funny because it's like, no, come on, get real. So I think that for the Israelites, that which is visual is very comfortable.
Right. It's comfortable. It's easier accessed for people. There's easier access for a person to see something than there is to hear about it, because then you got to think about things
quite differently than
what happens when you just see it.
Yeah, when you have an image to see, then you also have like a definable limit of that which is not the image.
Right.
So now we're in a sense, we're shrinking God down to our dimensions, our proportions. If you cannot look at God and see a form, now we're dealing with the infinite deity.
Right.
And now an infinite deity who is not bound by physical form, is not bound in time, because all these things are creatures of his creation.
Right.
This is the kind of God that can be holy and eternal and omnipresent and omnipowerful. That's a much harder God for you to deal with.
Yes, it is.
I can't just close the door on my shrine and walk away and do whatever I want. Because an infinite God who does not have a defined image in that sense, he's outside the doors of my shrine. And he's watching me there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my allegiance is owed in my business dealings and my marital relations and in my, family dealings and in my politics and everywhere where I could really limit and restrict my image God. I don't have that ability.
Yeah.
With this eternal, almighty, and powerful God.
So God's approach to Israel, he's very much interested in teaching them to approach him in the way that he says and not in the way that they say.
So now he gives a description of the altar that he requires.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. You shall not make gods of silver to be with me, nor shall you make for yourselves gods of gold. An altar of earth you shall make for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. If you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stones, for you, if you wield your tool on it, you profane it. And you shall not go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness be not exposed on it.
Yeah, this is there's a lot here.
There's a lot here. There's a bunch here.
So earth,
not silver, not gold, but earth.
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 What else is earth stuff? Well, the man who's offering the sacrifice is earth stuff.
Yeah, he's made of earth.
Yes.
The ground is made of earth. Like the stuff that we walk on all the time, that's earth.
So
the approach to God, the approach to God is, there's something very mundane about it.
Yeah, it's not
You
sexy.
see it? It's not sexy. It's earth. It's
earth.
not sexy like silver or gold. It's earth.
It's earth.
It's plain stuff that you deal with. You walk on it all the time.
Sounds a lot like bread and wine.
It does sound a lot like bread and wine. God takes these
water.
God takes these simplest of things and makes eternal, powerful symbols out of them for us. Bread and wine, water.
Like
that's baptism.
Water covers so much of the earth.
And he teaches us to think that way. When we see water, we're not supposed to think of it scientifically. We're supposed to think of it as
baptismally.
We think about water, what God says about water.
Yep.
Right?
The other interesting thing is wield no tool on it. So if you're making it of stone, this is just like dry fit stone. You're not cutting it. You're not chiseling the stone.
So how come?
Well, it seems to me that perhaps one of the applications we could make from this is that God is a Calvinist. This altar is not a thing that I have made.
Right.
I have not made my salvation. I have not made my path to God. I have not constructed this thing. I've just set stones out.
Yes.
That God has already made.
Yes.
God did the making.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And I think that's why he talks about the tool profaning the stone.
Okay.
That there's something.
If you have something to do with it, you worshiper,
yes.
Then there's a real problem here.
Yeah, I think one of the lessons that can be drawn from this is that God is creating the path for right worship to himself. I am not creating that path.
Ah, yes. Okay. All right. Because that is what is in view, right? It's about an altar to me where you're going to offer the sacrifices that I am setting forth.
Yep.
So it really is about the worship of God, and it's about how to approach God. Remember earlier in Exodus when it's the night before the Passover, and God comes to Moses and to the children of Israel, and he spends a long time talking about Passover. And then the next morning, there's the disaster for Egypt, this huge conflagration of things that happens to them. And the same thing happened way back, right before Noah got on the ark. Right before then, God spends a bunch of time talking to him about worship. Spends a bunch of time talking to them about how they're supposed to approach God. And then the great disaster happens. Well, here, this has been a great event that Israel's going to remember forever. And the first thing that God gets into, right in connection with it, is how do you approach God?
Yes.
How do you approach me?
Yep. So
not in pride, but in humility.
Yeah, not in pride, but in humility. And then in verse 26, you shall not go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness be not exposed on it. So we're supposed to treat the Lord as holy. We're not supposed to. Now, again, in the ancient world, you're going to be wearing something similar to a kilt.
Right.
Pants were not a thing.
Yeah.
So
pants were a blessed invention.
Much later, yes. We're all wearing pants, by the way. I'd just like to point that out.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't podcast in man jams. We wear clothing.
Bart is wearing a kilt.
We are men. But well, if you build an altar and then you ascend up onto it, you are exposing, wearing a kilt or a tunic. You are exposing yourself to the view of God.
Right.
You're exposing the unclean parts of yourself to the gaze of the holy. And God's like, no, you treat me as holy when you come to worship me. You do not bring your uncleanness. So I think this also, this is a physical prohibition, right? Do not do this act.
Right.
But it is serving as a placeholder for all the uncleannesses of the sinner. You don't drag, like as a priest, you have to sacrifice for your own sin before you can sacrifice for the people.
Right.
And this is one of the great points that the writer of Hebrews makes about Jesus later in the New Testament, that he he does not have to continually offer sacrifice for himself because he is sinless.
Right.
You don't drag your sinfulness, your uncleanness into the holy.
Right. And there's something about your private parts that has to do with this.
Yeah, generation in particular.
Yeah.
And the sexual organs. Because sin, we are conceived in sin.
Right.
We are all sinners by nature from birth.
Right.
And that's why we need a new birth.
Yeah. Since the fall.
And so Israel is being taught this.
Yeah.
This very thing, that your whole being is bound up in sin.
Yes.
You don't get to wield a tool on my altar.
No.
You don't get to make an image.
No.
To worship me through or by or however you can justify this.
Right.
And you don't drag your uncleanness into my temple.
Yeah.
You must be holy as I am holy.
Right. So God doesn't want to see that kind of thing. You shall not go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness be not exposed on it. He also, like, you're making an altar for burnt offerings, peace offerings, sheep, oxen. This is a place that Israel was to come to. So your nakedness being exposed on it has to do with God first, but it also has to do with your neighbor.
Yep.
Right?
So, and again, we are unclean, and we need God to clean us.
Right.
If the nation approaches God in an unclean manner, is he going to listen to their prayers? Well, no, because they've insulted him. They've profaned the sanctuary. And the clean versus unclean thing, it runs from this point on. Like, we're starting to get into it, but it runs straight through the whole law.
The point of it all is the holiness of God.
Yeah. You've got the unholiness of man and the holiness of God, and God will make man holy. Yeah. Man will not make man holy.
Man will not make himself holy, and therefore man's we're offered these prohibitions about not using a tool, about not exposing your nakedness, about not making idols.
Yep. Yeah, because and then this is all pointing forward to Christ. And so when we look back at this, we can see these things and say, Christ is the perfect sacrifice.
Yes.
He is sinless, so he is holy.
Well, the reason we can worship God in the New Testament time is because we enter in the blood and righteousness of Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're holy because Christ is holy, and that's why we can approach God in worship.
The whole thing that God is concerned about with is making people holy so that they can be in his presence.
Yes.
Right? God actually wants you to be holy and in his presence. This is what he's actually doing.
And we can say that to anybody who's walking down the street.
Yes, this is the good news.
Yeah.
God
has made a way.
He has done this.
God can make you holy, oil field worker.
Yep, he can. And oil field workers need it.
Yes, they do.
So the view that some have of God, that he's this horrible tyrant in the sky, thou shalt not, thou shalt not.
Right.
Thou shalt not have fun. No fun for you. No fun for you. It's like, well, okay, whoa, calm down.
The Chinese tyrant.
Yeah. Constant surveillance, all this law.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah. How dare God tell me I can't have my fun? Well, what God's actually all about is making you sufficient to stand in his presence because he wants you there.
Yes.
And he's doing this through Christ. And so these laws that we're looking at right now, these are pointing forward to Christ. They're teaching us about Christ. And so that's how we should read this. But yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay. This section of Exodus, starting in chapter 21.
This is interesting.
It's interesting Because it's this part of the Bible where people often start.
They chafe.
They start getting their eyes crossed and saying, "Oh goodness, where's this detail about
slavery,
about this and about that?" And it talks about all these things that we think are just like
why
like slavery.
Well, there's laws about slaves, but the point of it is protections for freedom.
Well, I think it's actually yes, that's true, but there's some deeper
part
magic.
Of the point is,
yeah, there's deeper magic.
Deeper magic. There you go.
Because
I'm always open to deeper magic.
I love deeper magic. So, why does God go from the 10 Commandments? Okay, so he goes.
Yes.
Sorry, back up.
Yes.
Why does he go from the Exodus to the 10 Commandments to worship to slavery? Why is slavery the next thing he's talking about?
I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery.
Exactly.
Out of the house of slavery.
Now,
yes.
we often get wrapped around the axle about chapter 21, which begins, now these are the rules that you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the seventh he shall go free for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. And then if his master gives him a wife, and he just goes through these regulations. And it gets very detailed.
It's all protections.
It is protections because it's putting term limits on slavery, which is very much the opposite of most slavery. Mm-hmm. Now, but the whole point of us talking about slavery so soon in the covenantal arrangement of Israel is to teach Israel about freedom. It's not merely to protect slaves, but to teach Israel about liberty.
So the
that's good.
The very wording of the beginning of Exodus 20 it, bears within it the idea that God is a foreign king who has overcome the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, and he has set his people free from that tyrannical king, and now they're under his rule. And that's a beautiful thing because his rule gives life. It gives freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got liberty being the focus of this slavery, which is weird. It's weird to think about that. I think when the modern looks at this chapter and they just see the word slave.
They see the word slave and they set their hair on fire.
They do. They set their hair on fire and they run around and then.
And I look at the modern world around me and I see the word slave because we're all slaves.
Yep.
We're slaves of sin. We're slaves of our governments.
Yep. Of the mortgage.
We need Exodus 21 because God is the God who sets us free. He's the one who declares the year of Jubilee.
Yep. Then he also talks about manslaughter. He talks about cursing. He talks about stealing and man-stealing.
Right.
It's interesting that if you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the seventh he goes free. But you get down to verse 16. Whoever steals a man and sells him shall be put to death.
Anyone who found in possession of him shall be put to death.
So this is very interesting. If you steal somebody, man-stealing, kidnapping, you're liable to death.
Yeah.
Which is a gracious provision in that world and in that time.
Because a large part of the economy in the ancient world was predicated upon attacking my neighbor and stealing his people.
Yes.
That's how the Romans ran their entire economy. Their economy objectively can be seen to have gone into decline when they ran out of people to conquer. Right. So same thing with the Assyrians and the Babylonians. It's as old as
dirt,
as dirt, slavery, stealing people. So it appears now then that the slavery that we're talking about that is permitted in a sense and restricted, very severely restricted, has more to do with debt slavery. Yeah. So if you can't pay a debt, you are sold by the court to pay for your debt.
Right.
We're not talking about kidnapping people and then enslaving them.
Right. Right. Because of verse 16.
Yeah.
That flatly prohibits doing that.
Exactly. So you've got to kind of take the whole context together. You've also got this verse 5. A slave can plainly say, I love my master, my wife, my children. I will not go out free.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this provision for a man who plainly says, not under duress, I love my master, I want to stay.
Right.
And you can't help but think about Abram and his servant.
And his servant, yeah.
Who goes off to find his master's son a wife.
Yeah.
Who gets sent off with no supervision to a far country and behaves admirably well.
Admirably well.
Admirably well, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then returns with the finest of wives for his master's son.
So when Paul is described as a slave of Jesus Christ,
yes,
it's not some Jesus Christ is constantly stomping on my head,
no.
But I'm actually a dignitary of the king.
Yes.
I'm actually, I wear his robes. I have honor and glory. That's attached to being a slave to Christ.
Well, Paul, I think all of Paul's epistles could be summed up in saying, I love my master, I will not go out free.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, his entire ministry can be summed up in Exodus 21.
Yes.
Verse 5.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. That's really good.
I love my master. I will not go out free. Mm-hmm. So there's, again, this is talking about Jesus. Mm-hmm. This is looking forward.
So Paul had an awl bored through his ear. Yeah. Metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking, yes. Yeah. And then we've also got the, verse 7 through 10, or 7 through 11, a man is not allowed to take a female slave as a wife and then mistreat her.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back just for a second. Let's get there in just a moment.
Okay.
The tail end of that, the boring through the ear with an awl.
Yes.
And he shall be his slave forever.
Yeah.
To the ear of someone who says, slavery's we eradicated slavery. I mean, we
did we?
Don't, we like to say that, don't we? But this is stated as though this is a good thing.
Yes.
And he shall be his slave forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about it. Think about David in Psalm 23. Mm-hmm. You know, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Yep.
You know,
that's
a very similar idea and a very similar thing that's going on here. Mm-hmm. That's why this is not a terror that he'll be a slave forever, but who's he a slave to? He's a slave to the gracious master who sets people free.
And this also reminds me of Hebrews. I think it's Hebrews 4. It talks about Moses being a faithful slave in the house of God and Christ being the faithful son.
Yeah.
Right? We move from slavery to sonship.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why in the modern Christian world, not in the modern any other world, but in the modern Christian world, slavery is a thing unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Because we've moved from
slavery to sonship.
Because we are no longer in Moses, but we are in Christ, and he is the faithful son.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite lines to sing during the heat of lockdowns was, I am, O Lord, thy servant bound yet free, thy handmaid son whose shackles you have broken. Mm-hmm. I forget the exact tune for that, but it's an old Genevan hymn.
I had it running through my head.
I am, O Lord, thy servant bound yet free, thy handmaid son whose shackles you have broken, redeemed by grace as a token, my hymn of gratitude unto thee. I changed
Psalm
that
116.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So Hebrews 3:5 is the passage.
Yes.
Yeah. Now Moses was faithful in all God's house as a servant, and that word servant is slave, doulos, to testify to the things that were to be spoken later, but Christ is faithful over God's house as a son.
Yes.
And we are his house, if indeed we hold fast our confidence and our boasting in our hope.
So we are slaves of Christ, but sons in Christ.
Yeah. So
let's carry on after.
Yeah. So Exodus 21 is about that. Mm. But it is also a restriction on tyranny. A man cannot take, a wife as a slave and then abandon her later when he sees some, he can't trade in his 50 for 225s.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be honorable in his behavior. And if he cannot be honorable, then he is to set her free. Like she's to go free. She shall go for nothing. That means that she doesn't have to pay. If you won't treat her properly as a wife, then she goes and it costs her nothing.
Right.
So this is completely at odds with everything in the ancient world. And I would argue with most of what's in the modern world.
Yeah.
I mean, slavery is alive and alive and kicking in the Islamic world.
Yeah.
We still do have
sexual
our slaves.
slavery.
Yeah, our sexual slavery.
There's a huge slave trade out of Canada and the States.
Yeah.
There's also debt slavery.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So we, but this kind of a thing is, it does restrict the evil, and it is constantly pointing towards liberty and towards honorable relations between people, which is, again, the opposite of everything in the world around them and the opposite of human nature.
Right.
And then we get to verse 12. Whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. Okay, so this, again, I think is a recapitulation of Genesis 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if he did not lie in wait for him, but God let him fall into his hand. Okay, so we now make a distinction between murder and manslaughter.
Yes.
That distinction is a Christian distinction.
Yes.
In the old world, if you killed a man accidentally, his family still would pursue you in a blood feud.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how or what the circumstances. His blood is on your hands. I'm going to kill you. And then that's how you get, tribal warfare. But God let him fall into his hand. Then I will appoint for you a place to which he may flee. So we're talking about the cities of refuge.
Yeah.
But if a man willfully attacks another to kill him by cunning, you shall take him from my altar that he may die. So a cunning murderer does not get to flee to the sanctuary for sanctuary. You will drag him out of there.
Yeah, and that's what happened with David and
yes.
Who was it that
It was Joab.
Yeah, Joab clung to the horns of the altar.
Yeah.
So I think they actually hacked him down at the altar, didn't they?
No. Benaiah. Where was that? Was that?
It was right at the
Second
beginning
Kings?
of Solomon's reign.
Yeah, First Kings.
Yeah, it was First Kings.
First Kings 1 or 2.
Because Benaiah gets sent into
Benaiah the hitman.
Yes, the original Mossad.
Yeah, they killed Joab.
Benny.
Jamie has a song about this.
Got a job for you. Solomon sent Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, saying, "Go strike him down." So Benaiah came to the tent of the Lord and said to him, "The king commands, come out." But he said, "No, I will die here." And Joab went back and took word to Benaiah went back and took word to the king, saying, "Thus has said Joab, and thus he answered me." And the king replied to him, "Do as he has said. Strike him down and bury him." So,
do as he said.
So it appears that Benaiah went into the house of the Lord and struck down Joab there.
Yeah.
It appears to be the case.
That was the holiness of God.
Yeah.
Related to the holiness of God.
Yeah, but a murderer does not have temple access.
That's right.
He does not have access to the altar. And Joab was a murderer.
Yeah.
Right? And it was very specifically for the murder of Abner.
Yeah, of Abner. And of Amasa.
And of Amasa. That this sentence of death was taken out on him.
Yes.
In obedience to the law. Now, David should have taken care of this before. I tend to think that Joab had leverage.
Yeah, Joab had leverage on David. And David also, it was like he knew he didn't have the moral authority to reel Joab in, because Joab was complicit in some of David's worst crimes.
This is true.
Right?
And for him to condemn Joab
it was to condemn himself also.
But as he's dying, he tells his son,
he says, "You're wise. You'll figure this out. You'll know how to do it.
Act according to your wisdom,"
which Solomon did, in fact.
Yes, immediately.
Now we should probably close up soon. We can always finish off the slavery section next time.
Yeah. Do we want to continue on with striking mom and dad, or leave that to the next?
Yeah. Let's leave off.
Okay.
Let's leave off striking mom and dad.
We'll stop at verse 14.
Yeah. Stop hitting mom and stop hitting dad.
Yes. Okay.
So we've made good headway here. The main things to remember, again, in looking at the specifics of the law, there are many good uses of the law, but we are learning about Jesus Christ is the primary thing. Mm-hmm. There is also the fact that God is restricting and restraining evil and teaching how to be a holy people fit to be in his presence.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very easy for a man to stumble over, like with a man with modern sensibilities, to stumble over a verse like 7. Mm-hmm. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, and we recoil inside and we say, "Oh, that's awful. That's awful. How can a man do that?" Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's necessary for us to be thinking about what this is all about, and this is about defining liberty, and it's about freeing. It's really about freeing people, and not enslaving them like the devil has us enslaved to sin. Christ comes to free us from slavery, and it is for freedom that Christ has set you free. He says it's for that purpose. So the direction of this is not slavery; it's liberty. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the direction of the ancient world was for slavery. Mm-hmm. Yes. The direction of the world apart from Christ is for slavery.
Yeah.
The further you get from Christ, the more slavery you get.
Slavery you get.
Yeah.
That is the way of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we are the Chinook Podcast here with Brad Donovan, Nathan Zeckfeld, and myself, Jamie Souls. And it's been a delight to have this conversation with you around the book of Exodus. We want to commend that you take a deep dive in here and read and study and think about these matters. This is a section of Scripture that we know less than we ought to, and so I do commend the study of the book of Exodus. We want to offer to you this conversation, and in hopes that it'll be a blessing and a help to you. So thanks for joining us here today, and I hope you have a good day today.